Welcome to this internal security lecture series. In this lecture, we will take IC 814 hijacking, your parliament attack, and the Indian Mujahideen topic. And this is your part 11 of the terrorist lecture series. Let us move ahead. We will discuss all those stuff. Before going through the lecture, I will request you to please subscribe the channel. This is a new channel, so I really need your support. And further, I request you to please go through this lecture till the end so that you will have a complete picture of the topic. And this is a big topic and I think it will take around 1 hour, so please stick to the topic. If you want any break, pause it, then resume it again. Okay, so first we will see how what is the connections between India and the Pakistan, and how these all things emerged, like your parliament attack, your the hijacking of the IC-814 airplane. Okay, so India has always been on receiving end of Pakistan sponsored terrorism. Okay, so what are the terrorist activities happen most of the time? It was through the Pakistan sponsored. Like if you see for the northeast insurgency part also, so in that from your east Pakistan side, that is what that is right now your Bangladesh. At that time also it was sponsored by the ISI. Okay, so it is like that India is always as a receiving in as the Pakistan sponsored terrorists, and the major Indian cities were attacked in the last 3 decades. See, uh, Pakistan sponsored terrorism have been changed over a period of time. So it was like earlier they start to attack Indian cities. Okay, so they start to attack Indian cities. So after that, when Indian government started to give proof to the international courts and the international forum, so Pakistan faced lots of huge pressure on it. So if you see that Pakistan is in right now in this year 2020, Pakistan is on grey list of the FATF. Okay, so these kind of pressures used to happen on the Pakistan from the international forum, because India proved uh, that the terrorist activities that has been done within the country is from the Pakistan side. So after that, Pakistan changed its strategy, and they instead of attacking the civilians, they started to attack the military people. Okay, so what happened that when you attack the military persons, so it will get very less sympathy as compared with the civilians. Okay, so they changed its strategy. So if you see that in the last decades, in the few decades, that is the uh, after 2012 and all, you will see that the most of the attacks that have been done, it is on the military, it has been done on our soldiers, it has been done on the military zones area. Okay, so it what creates like it creates very less sympathy in the international forum as the attacks done on the civilian used to be do. Okay, so over a period of time they used to change their strategy. Okay, so initially Pakistan enabled its covert insurgency operation by sponsoring terror element in Punjab. So if you see that Khalistan movements and all, that was the emergence of from the fundings from the Pakistan side as well. So then later they shifted its attention in the 1980s on the Kashmir conflict. So in starting they put their attention on the Punjab side area. That was when the country was divided, so bifurcated. So it gave a birth of the Khalistan issue, and after that then this latter shifted to its attention towards in 1980s Kashmir conflict. So various insurgency operations group was formed by the Pakistan, like the Jaish-e-Mohammed were allowed to carry out the group of liberation of Kashmir. So they want like independence, Azad Kashmir and all. Okay, so initially it was not given mandate, like this Jaish-e-Mohammed was, or the Pakistan ISIS operations and all, they were not given permission to attack in India in starting. Like if you see in the around 1980s and all, so in that around they were not allowed, they were not given permission to carry out attacks in the India to the civilians and all. But post of that, it was seen that they changed the strategy. They started to attack to the civilians. Okay, so first they initiated those things in the Kashmir regions. Then after they moved to the Indian cities like the Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, and all. So and after that we have seen that their strategy again changed when the international forum used to pressurize them, so they started to attack on the military officials. Okay, so in the 1990s, a new fault line was created, division between the Hindus and Muslim riots, and also when the Kashmir Pandits were thrown out from the Kashmir regions uh, to the Jammu and Kashmir. They were thrown out, the Pandits and all. So there was a fault line created between Hindu and the Muslim region. So they exploited the Pakistans exploited those fault lines. They hired those people, they trained those people, and they act them as a sleeper cells, or they use those persons to create wars or bombing kind of attack activities within the India. Okay, so they exploited this fault line and created a divide start to emerge in Indian society, and the fault line were exploited by the Pakistani intelligence agencies, that is the ISIs. Okay, so further the mandate of these groups were expanded by the Pakistan and were allowed to attack on Indian cities as well. So in starting it was not like that, the motive was not to attack within the Indian cities, but after that they were allowed to attack on the Indian cities. So this include groups such as Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, etc. And this is how we witness the birth of Indian terrorism in India. So it started mainly after the 1990s. So Indian terrorism started after it. Okay, so when the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen was born, and they emerged. Okay, so among the Kashmir conflicts, if you see, Jaish-e-Mohammed still remain focused on the Jammu and Kashmir. So still, if you see Jaish-e-Mohammed, their motive was for till the people of the Jammu and Kashmir, and its involvement in the urban terrorism was very limited. Urban terrorism means like a bomb blast in the metropolitan cities and the other regions. So they were focused on the liberation of Jammu and Kashmir. So Lashkar-e-Taiba, so this was of the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Now the Lashkar-e-Taiba carried much interest in the urban terrorism. See, these are the two different groups, and both are against the India only. So but the Jaish-e-Mohammed was focused on the Kashmir and conflict, and the Lashkar-e-Taiba carried interest in the urban terrorism, like the bomb blasting in the metropolitan cities and all. Okay, so Pakistan encouraged various outfits, like, so it was like, so both are from the Pakistan, and Pakistan was used to encourage these two different outfits to carry out attacks within the India. Okay, so these outfits are like the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hizbul Mujahideen, Huji, and they carried out major attacks in the Indian cities. So first attack that was noted was in the 1993, and this was a direct outcome of the communal polarization of the India. If you see, if you remember that it was a time of a Babri Masjid and all, where Hindu radicals were on the one side and there was a Muslim radicals were on the other side, and in that the Babri Masjid was demolished now. So this was the fault line that was exploited at the time, and this Bombay blast acted as a fuel to emerge that to blast that fault lines into that area, and this turned into the riots and all. Okay, so in this all began with the demolition of the Babri Masjid in the 1992, and after that, if you see now, 1992 Bombay bomb blast happened. So radical Hindutva organization was affiliated, that is to the RSS and the Bajrang Dal. They demolished the Babri Masjid and led to the widespread communal riots across the country. And after that, it was exploited, and the Bombay bomb blast happened. So 3,000 innocent civilians were killed, and most of them were Muslims. That was the point. And these people who were attacked, who were hit by this act, the 3,000 innocent civilians who were killed, their families were, and all. So after that, this Pakistan sponsored people used to exploit their families, used to hire their families, they trained them, and they used those officials against India. Okay, So the communal polarization created the opportunity for the Pakistan to exploit this fault line and deploy new way of terrorism against India. So this polarization, in the one side there was your Hindu and the another side there was a Muslim. So Pakistan exploited this fault line and hired many Muslim people and all. Okay, so the communal polarization created with the opportunity of Pakistan to exploit this fault line and deploy new wave of terrorism against India. So ISI tied up. Remember this point. ISI this time we used to heard the term Dawn. So this Dawn is nothing but your Dawood Ibrahim. This time only in the 1992 and 1993, Dawood Ibrahim gang were contacted with the Pakistan's ISIs and all, and they collaborated together. So this Dawood Ibrahim gang, in order to enable few Pakistan based terrorists to execute the serial bomb blast in the Bombay in the 1993. So Dawood Ibrahim was running the organized criminal organization based Mumbai, and the communal riot of 1992 drove him into the hand of ISI, and this was one of the first incidents where the state intelligence agencies, that is your ISI, which was hostile towards India, was tying up with an organized criminal network and the non-state agencies, that is Pakistan, in order to sponsor act of terrorism in the India. Okay, so this was the first time when the ISI and the Dawood Ibrahim, so this state sponsor state agency is going to be collaborated with the non-state agencies. Okay, and both were against the India. Okay, so now we are coming to your hijacking part. So this was the story build up. This fault line was created in the 1992 and the 1993, that the Bombay blast was happened and the riots were taken place. Now we will see how this story will connect to the IC 814. So the second major incident, the first major incident was your what, the Bombay blast, and after that now it will be like your this IC-814 hijacking. So the second major terrorism was seen during the hijacking of IC-814 flight during the Harkat by this was done by the Harkat ul Mujahideen, and this flight was supposed to connect Kathmandu with New Delhi, but this hijacking was done from the Kathmandu side. So once the flight took off from the Kathmandu, it was hijacked and wanted to secure the release of the wanted terrorist who was in Indian custody in the exchange of the hostages. So few terrorists were in the Indian custody, and they hijacked that IC-814 plane in order to release those terrorists, and then they will release those hostages that are present within the flight, that is the common people. So after the hijacking, and one more thing point, this IC-814 hijacking was one of the major drawback of India that proved India as a failure, and after that India came up with the new multiple security issues, security policies and all, and that's why if we see right now we have one of the strongest security policies in the world. Okay, so after the hijacking, flight was taken to the Amritsar for refueling. See, flight was taken off from the Kathmandu, it was hijacked between that. After that it landed in the Amritsar in the Punjab, so for refueling, but the Indian authority failed to disable the aircraft from the leaving Indian airspace. See how much fail we had in this situation, where our flight even landed within the India also. We knew that the terrorists are within the flight, and we are refueling that petrols also, refueling the flights and all, and then again flight left our airbase. So this was one of the very biggest that is failure of our in the history of India. So immediately this hijacked aircraft was taken to the Lahore in Pakistan, and later it was taken to the Dubai at United Arab Emirates. And till when we created our plan to attack on the planes and all with the commandos of the UAE and all, this flight was taken off and it was landed in the Afghanistan. Okay, so the Indian government has started to negotiate with the terrorists and was even considered the possibility of commando raid within the approval of the UAE government, but till now this decision was being taken, the flight was taken off. So this was no longer with the option once the aircraft taken off from the Dubai, and finally it landed in the Kandahar, that is in the Afghanistan. Okay, so in 1999 Afghanistan was under the rule of Taliban. Who prepared Taliban? America prepared Taliban, and when Soviet Union left the Afghanistan region, America also left the Taliban on its own condition. After that, Taliban felt cheated by the America, that America used them, and when America had no interest with them, they left it like that, and that's what it resulted in attack of 2001 on the World Trade Center of the America. Okay, so the Taliban was only the prepared by the USA only. So Afghanistan was under the rule of Taliban. Taliban government broke all the ties with the India once it established Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. By the time, at the time Vajpayee government was there, okay, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, so was coming under the tremendous pressure and media pressure, and with no further negotiation, Indian government had to release those 3 terrorists in exchange of the hostages. Okay, so India managed to overcome the crisis to an end by releasing 3 high-profile terrorists. Which are the 3 high-profile terrorists? These are Indian that is Masood Azhar, that went and established your Jaish-e-Mohammed. Then Omar Sheikh, later responsible for the assassination of the American journalist, that was the Daniel Pearl. That is in the news also. America also retaliate on that issues in the news forum and all. Then Mushtaq Ahmad Jargar, who was one of the terrorists belonging to the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front and continued to operate from Pakistan. They continued to operate from the Pakistan. So this incident was the major embarrassment for the Indian government, because India was forced to negotiate with the terrorists, and we even released all the terrorists in the exchange of the safe release of the hostages. So this incident led to the critical gap in the India security architecture, and this all failed because India did not had her anti-hijacking policy, and after that India built that anti-hijacking policy, and there was no reporting of the hijacking. Okay, so it emerged, it pushed up, it shows that what are the drawbacks in our security concerns. So, and after that we built up our securities and all, we make our securities officials security things strong and strong day by day. Okay, now second issue, the parliament attack. So there was a so that was the third one. So yes, this was the second one, your story. So the parliament attack. So the parliament attack was carried out by the Jaish-e-Mohammed. Who built the Jaish-e-Mohammed? See here, this your Masood Azhar, who was released in the exchange of hostages. Who built the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and he carried out the attack of the parliament. So immediately after the IC-814 incident, Masood Azhar released and formed a Jaish-e-Mohammed group with the support of the ISI, that is intelligence agency of the Pakistan, and the main objective was to carry out the insurgency in the Jammu and Kashmir, and its main motive is only for the liberation of the Jammu and Kashmir and all. Okay, the first major attack was the parliament attack outside the Kashmir. Outside of the Kashmir, the first, like outside of the Kashmir, the first attack was done in the parliament attack only by the Jaish-e-Mohammed, and this created the situation of war. Then after that, the Vajpayee government started the operation Prakram, which is one of the biggest failure of the operations in the Indian history. Operation Prakram was also one proved to be the failure. Why and how? Operation Prakram was like to move the Indian troops within the 24 to 48 hours on the border side of the Pakistan. But the logistic care was not taken care of. The transportation of the logistic was very tough. And that's why right now India is building our borders very strong. We are building great infrastructure. We are expending our most of the expenditure expended on the border areas for only the easy transportation of all the required equipments in the situation of war, and even we are holding all those things in the border area as well, in the areas of China and the Pakistan as well. Okay, so the Vajpayee government launched the Operation Prakram. The objective of this Operation Prakram was to swift mobilization of the Indian troops within the 24 to 48 hours of the attack and carry out the deep incursion into the Pakistan, and in order to force the Pakistan to come onto a negotiating table in order to cut its support to the terror outfit against India. But this was also proved to be failure because of the logistical issues. So massive mobilization of the troops taken at the western border, and the whole exercise took 6 months. Plan was 24 to 48 hours, and this whole exercise of transportation of troops it took some 6 months to be completed. And Operation Prakram was considered to be failure due to the logistical deficiencies within the Indian armed force, and it clearly highlighted the lack of equipment, trainings, modern equipment, etc. that armed forces were suffering from. They do not have a high technology equipment, trainings. They do not have sufficient trainings to move within that areas 24 to 48 hours. They have to move there and they have to attack on those regions. So there was a lack of training as well. So ultimately Pakistan also got much time in the mobilization, because we planned to move to the 24 to 48 hours, but for mobilization of all the troops, but it took around the 6 months. And the Pakistan also got the much of the time, and they also came to know that Indian troops are going to stand in the western borders, and thus Pakistan got the much time to prepare their border as well, and this led to the stand up on the border side. So ultimately Pakistan also got much time in the mobilization of the troop on the western border, and ultimately face off happened between the India and Pakistan, and it was one of the largest army standoffs between two nuclear armed countries. And further, when the international pressure happened, so both the countries have to move back. So the further international pressure was on between both the countries, and pressure was created to move for a peaceful talk, and thus it became one of the reasons for signing of the ceasefire agreement. And India called off the Operation Prakram, and is still too much ceasefires are always being violated by the Pakistan side. Okay, so what are the lessons from your Operation Prakram? What we learned from this Operation Prakram? So based on the lessons learned from the Operation Prakram, it has been said that the Indian armed forces had developed a new doctrine known as Cold Start Doctrine in order to give more option as a retaliation to the Indian government after major terror attacks. So it was like that they build up that Cold Start Doctrine, where the retaliation that has to be done by the Indian government should be not a failure like the Prakram. We build up our aim, but we forget to make our the logistical issues. We forget to make our take care of the logistical issues and all. So these things should be taken care of, and under this Cold Start Doctrine, Indian armed forces will be mobilized, should be mobilized within 24 to 40 hours, and they will try to carry deep incursion into out of the Pakistan on negotiating table. But the Indian government and forces had declined such doctrine in the coming time. But still, right now we are able to do like that, and we all have a logistical issues. We are going to take care of it, and we hoarded lots of logistical issues in those areas, and we built lots of projects are running for the infrastructure development projects along the border side, and still we are doing that. That's why China is always used to make problems in this border. Is like, why you are doing developments like that. We also used to do, we will also do development, but the China is already doing the developments in the border area, and the border is in our land. It is the Indian land. We will do whatever we want to do, and that's why India is investing lots of expenditure. Lots of expenditure is done on the border side as well to build up the infrastructure projects in the border areas. Okay, so post 2004 Pakistan came up with a new strategy known as Karachi project, and it is said to be a covert program of the ISI to sponsor homegrown terrorist outfit based on India, as most of the terrorists captured in India were Pakistan, which were creating tremendous pressure on the Pakistan as well, because all over the whoever the terrorist was captured by the Indian officials, they are from the Pakistan also. So at the international forum also Pakistan was getting pressurized. So this is where we witnessed the birth of Indian Mujahideen, and Indian Mujahideen was very active post 2004 to 13. So it used like they will hire the boys, the less aged boys, uh, who have been deprived by these attacks and all. Okay, so it carried out major attacks across the Indian cities, through which Pakistan could easily divert the attack done by the homegrown terrorists based on India. So as a result, India would find difficult to establish Pakistan connection, bring international pressure on Pakistan. So it will help Pakistan to continue terror attack without taking much blame. So that's what Pakistan tried to build up new Mujahideen, Indian Mujahideen, that will be Indian origin. Now, when the attacks will happen within the India, and let us suppose that a person who carried the attack will be catched, then that person will be found that he is belonging to India only. So that's what Pakistan had a plan, that we will hire the people from the India only, and the attacks that will be carried out will be by them only. So in future, if they caught after the attack, so the blame will not come on Pakistan, because they are not Pakistani people, they are the people of India only. So that was the plan of Pakistan, to create Indian Mujahideen, so that in future, whenever the attacks will happen, if they caught, they will be Indian officials, and India will fail in making pressurizing Pakistan at the international forum. That was the plan by the Pakistan. Okay, so it will help Pakistan to continue terror attack without taking much blame. This is the Indian people, not Pakistani. This is done by the Indian people, not by the Pakistan people. So the strategy which was adopted by the Indian Mujahideen was quite unique, established by few radical youth belonging to the radical organization known as SIMI, that is the Student Islamic Movement of India. So both the outfits had been labeled as a terrorist organization under the Unlawful Prevention Act of 1967, and the Indian Mujahideen was established by the former member of the SIMI only. So who established the Indian Mujahideen? It was by the former member, one of the members, the ex-member of the Student Islamic Movement of India, led by the Bhatkal brothers from the Karnataka. So they received direct support from the ISI to identify the recruiters, especially in the communal hotbeds present in Maharashtra, Karnataka and Bihar. So it was like that they will hire those boys that that have deprived, they have hit by the communals fault lines. So they used to hire from these main three states, Maharashtra, Karnataka and Bihar, because most of the communal hotbeds are riots happen in those three states. So as in all these three states where the communal violence had been witnessed, and the victim of such communal violence could be easily radicalized by these operatives and recruited in the Indian Mujahideen. So the plan was that the communal the victim of such communal violence, so these three states, Maharashtra, Kerala and the Bihar, Karnataka, faced the lots of communal violence, and the victim of this communal violence, let us suppose a boy lost his father in that communal violence. So what they will do, they will radicalize that communal victim, that boy, they will radicalize that victim. See, your father was dead because of those Hindu guys. Come to our group, we will train you, you will attack on them, you will kill that guy. Okay, so that kind of mindset was prepared. They used to brainwash those people. Okay, so this terror organization posed a major security challenge to India between 2004 to 2013 by carrying out the number of major attacks along the tier 1 and tier 2 cities in the India, like the Mumbai and attacks and all. Okay, so Indian Mujahideen had followed a very modest propaganda in order to invade detection from the Indian agency. So it was like the propaganda that they followed were to not to catch in the Indian agency. So because they were Indian officials, Indian people, so it was difficult for the Indian agencies as well to detect those kind of radical people or the trained people. So as a part of this strategy, they would identify the officials used for the recruitment, and they would be further brainwashed and radicalized before being taken out of India. So further, instead of directly traveling from India to Pakistan, they used another route, that is from the Nepal side, and Nepal border is considered to be the one of the most porous border from the India, where they used to take the people from the Nepal, and from the Nepal border they used to take the China or the Pakistan side, and they used to train them, and again after giving training to those people, they used to push into India through the same route. That was the that is the plan. Still it is active. So further, instead of directly traveling from the India and Pakistan, they adopted a long circuit route in order to avoid detection from the Indian agencies. they adopted what long route in order to avoid detection from whom Indian agencies. So these recruiters who were radicalized, they are sent through Nepal route. Also Indo-Nepal border, as I said, that is the most porous border, and find safe haven in the Nepal. So from Nepal, these recruiter would be taken under false identity. They will create a false identity card for them. Into the Middle East countries like Saudi Arabia, they will send them to Saudi Arabia and other regions, United Arab Emirates and all. And after that, they will send to the Afghanistan and the Pakistan region for the training. Okay, so see how the plane was also hijacked. Plane was plane came from the Kathmandu, that is from Nepal. Then it landed in India. After that, it landed in Pakistan. Then again, it landed from Pakistan. It went to your United Arab Emirates, and from Arab Emirates, they again landed to the Afghanistan. So this is kind of a long route they have taken at the time. Similarly, here also the moving of those radicalized people used to do they used to follow this long route to hide those people, to create a false identity for those people. Okay, so such as Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, the ISI was very strong preference. So finally they would be taken to the Pakistan from the Middle East into their country, and they would be transferred to Pakistan and will be trained in their terror camp for building bombs and handling weapons and all. And after training, they would be sent back from the same route to the Nepal, as they are followed, like let us support from India to Nepal, Nepal to United Arab Emirates, United Arab Emirates to Pakistan. Now similarly, they will be sent back to India from Pakistan to United Arab Emirates, United Arab Emirates to Nepal, Nepal to India. So the route was being followed so that the identity will be hide and the Indian agencies should not be able to catch it up. So this was the whole route that has been followed for the training of the Indian Mujahideen. So they would establish a sleeper cell and will be active during the terror attack only. Till they will be very normal. They will be like Indian people only. It will be like working in the Indian officials and all, and they will active become only on the terror attack day. So they managed to attack in India till in the 2011 and 13. Such a dangerous outfit was neutralized by 2013 due to Indian effective counter insurgency operations and India's international cooperation. So due to the cooperation of the Indian international agencies and the Indian counter insurgency operations, we used to neutralize all most of the attacks that was going to happen in the 2013 and all. Okay, so on one hand, Intelligence Bureau of the Ministry of Home Affairs worked very closely with the state police organization, and they managed to neutralize number of modules of the Indian Mujahideen. So how we managed to neutralize the Indian Mujahideen? So our Ministry of Home Affairs used to contact with the state government, police governments and all, and through close contact with those police officers and all, we used to neutralize all those attacks of the Indian Mujahideen. Even we caught most of the Indian Mujahideen people, and whatever the brainwashed have happened to them, we make them to live in a normal life, but the identity was never revealed. Okay, so such as operation in the Karnataka, Maharashtra, Bihar, and even few parts of the Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So this brought Indian Mujahideen to a quick end. Indian Mujahideen came to a quick end, but still it is active. It is not like it has been ended. Still it is active, but now not such attacks have been seen yet. So further, that is research and analysis wing of India played a very crucial role in cooperation with the international organization like the intelligence agency of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. With the cooperation with these countries along with the Nepal, India managed to tackle with the external agents in the favor of the Indian Mujahideen. So the next major attack that was carried in the 26/11, which took in the Mumbai in the 2008, this was carried out by the Lashkar-e-Taiba with the help of ISI, and this attack highlighted a number of crucial flaws existing in the Indian. So one flaw was highlighted by the IC 814, where we build up the anti-hijacking policies, and after that again 26/11 attack flagged our navy issues, security issues and all. Okay, Indian security architecture, especially in the approach to dealing with the modern terrorist attack. So it flagged all those drawbacks that was happening was in our security architecture. So it highlighted the gaps with the Indian coastal security, gap in the intelligence agencies like IB and RAW, lack of coordination among these agencies, slower response of NSG. NSG is India's allied counter-insurgency force to deal with the cases of the urban terrorism and the anti-hostages and the anti-hijacking situation. So it is what that this line is telling, that see, IB has its own source, RAW has its own source, and other internal agencies have its own source. Problem was that they do not share their information with each other, and this caused a problem of lack of coordination. And due to this only, as they do not share the information with each other, and due to this lack of coordination, we saw this attack 26/11. Okay, so India managed to link this attack somehow. We managed to link this attack with the Pakistan, and ISI and Lashkar Taiba. Based on this evidence, we created very international pressure on the Pakistan as well, and it raised a campaign of coercive diplomacy in order to bring an international pressure on Pakistan with respect to sponsoring terrorism. And we have seen that in the FATF, the Pakistan is brought under the grey list, and if the Pakistan will not work on the list that is given by the FATF, it will be considered under the blacklist, and so thus its all economic loans activities will be blocked. So by 2008, India was enjoying support with the Western countries like USA. As a result of Pakistan was forced to change its strategy. Now Pakistan forced change its strategy to attack on the civilians. They had started to attack on the military officials. So after this, it became almost impossible to Pakistan to target innocent civilians, because the Indian government would not hold back in this situation, and India will retaliate back with such kind of terrorism. So they started targeting military officials. They stopped attacking the, after 26 years, they stopped attacking the innocent civilians, and they started targeting military installations, military officials, like Gurdaspur attack, Pathankot attack, CRPF attack in Jammu and Kashmir, 2016 Uri attack, 2016-19 attack, Pulwama attack. So when military installations are attacked, this will not generate that much amount of sympathy as the your innocent civilians attacks does. Okay, so they change its strategy as well. So I hope you have understand this lecture. Please like and subscribe. Your subscription is a form of payment for me. It is a new channel, so I really need your support. If you have any doubts, if you want any on-demand video lecture, please feel free to ping on my Twitter handle. Thank you.